What's going on YouTube? Before we get to the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff, you know, all that. And yeah, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Okay, YouTube, how is everyone doing today? Thank you to all the viewers and subscribers for clicking on this video. A few weeks ago, I talked about my favorite book of the year and the best book I read this year. Now we're going to talk about the worst book that I read this year. That was this book right here, this bad boy, StarCraft, Shadow of the xel'naga by Gabriel Mista, which is apparently a pseudonym for author Kevin James Anderson. Kevin J. Anderson. This book originally came out in 2001 when that Space Odyssey happened. Remember that? They did a reprint of a bunch of old Blizzard books with these new spine and they're larger and a bit nicer. The reprints happened in 2020, so like that's right when the pandemic was at its peak. Well, for where I lived at least, and so yeah, I'm guessing that nobody bought any of these books because I found this at a thrift store for super cheap, and it was a bit of an impulse buy, but we'll get into that. Kind of like what we did last week with how did we get to False Gods? Or we're gonna do a quick bit here on how we got to Shadow of the xel'naga. All right, let's unpack it. So earlier this year, I was playing through StarCraft games. I'm actually still playing through StarCraft 2, but I was playing StarCraft 1. I was like, man, I could go for a good StarCraft. I bet there's a good StarCraft book. I like reading books based in the world of video. And so I remembered that I have this book, StarCraft Minsk by Graham McNeil. It was the second time I read it. And at first I started reading this, and I was like, this is okay, but it's kind of boring. Like it's a bit more political than I want. It's only about well, it mainly focuses on one of the game's more important characters, Minsk, as it as the last name says. His first name is eluding me right now. Maybe it'll come back later. But I was like reading it, and I'm like, okay, kind of boring. But let me try to find something else. I like it more when we get all three of the big StarCraft races, that being Protoss, the Terrans, and the Zerg, all together. And this was kind of mostly the Terrans, or mostly Meng. I was looking for something more focused on the all three races. So introducing the Book of the Hour, Shadow of the xel'naga. And like I said, I found it at a thrift store. It was really cheap. And so I kind of did a quick skim of the back of it, and I was like, this seems like I'd like it. So I bought it, and here we go. First thing I want to talk about is this cover. I I like and I don't like the cover. So I like it because it's this awesome picture of this zealot. It's like chilling here, ruins in the background burning, the city burning. And it's cool. It's artwork from the original StarCraft game, which I love. But the part I don't like is that it's kind of just a random piece of artwork they chose for the book. I mean, I don't know, like, I know that there's like, don't judge a book by its cover, and that has a deeper meaning than literal books. But I just feel like if somebody was like, oh, who's this guy? I'd be like, well, it's just a dude. It's just a zealot. It could be anybody. Like, it's not like a specific person in the book. I don't like that. I mean, and like I said, like it looks really cool, but it's just not super like doesn't do a great job of setting up what's actually going on. What is going on is it's this side story set on a remote planet called Bekar Row. I'm looking at it right now, so I'm looking down. Bhekar Row. And it's like about this set of Terrans, these human Terrans that just like left the Confederacy and kind of wanted to find their own world to live in, free from the Confederacy. So all the events of StarCraft, they're kind of just living off in this whole other pocket of the world. So they got no idea what's going on. The story mostly centers around this girl named Octavia and her brother. It starts with her and her brother finding an ancient xel'naga temple or artifact, the ancient race in the lore of StarCraft. They find it and it like somehow they activate it and it absorbs her brother. and she's like freaking out. And the xel'naga artifact sends this like huge signal across the galaxy. So the Protoss catch wind of it, the Zerg catch wind of it, and Mengs himself catches wind of it, and he sends his homie Edmund Duke to go figure it out, right? And Kerrigan hears about it, but she's like, "Well, I don't really want to deal with this," so she sends a bunch of Zerg, and then the Protoss are like a rogue group of Protoss from I can't remember where. Again, it was so boring and so lifeless that I just cannot bother to tell you like much about it or like remember much about it. The only good thing I'd say is that it moves at a really good pace. That's how I was able to finish it. It's not particularly long. I think it's only like, oh hey, let's look it up. I got the book right in front of me. 258 pages. Yeah. So, and it moves pretty quickly. It just feels like it didn't add any depth to the world of StarCraft. Didn't do a good job of exploring the things we already know. Like, was just like if someone gave the most basic, simple, surface level understanding of StarCraft. And we have characters like Edmund Duke. Well, he's like the most known. How do I want to say this? Of characters from the game, he's featured the most in it. And I thought he was supposed to be like a smart general. Instead, he's like an idiot in this book. He's like getting all of his troops killed, all of his ships destroyed, and just not caring. He's like, I better just blame this on something else. Like, so that was weird. Also, it shows off that the colonists of Bekar Row don't know about the Protoss or the Zerg, but there's several points where when the Protoss and the Zerg show up on the planet, they just, from the colonist perspective, they just know what they're looking at. It doesn't do a good job of being like, we as the audience might know, oh, that's a Zealot or that's a Hydralisk. If you played StarCraft, you know what I'm saying. But so we know that, but the characters themselves from the colony shouldn't just be able to say, oh, that's a Zealot or whatever. That's a whatever unit from there. So that was kind of annoying. And about, say, like a couple chapters in, I was like, this is bad. And I tried to keep giving it a chance, and I don't know, never got better. I'm gonna spoil the ending because I just thought it was so bad. I'm just gonna spoil the ending. It's like the Protoss and the Zerg, they have this big battle that's kind of like, it could be cool if there was good storytelling leading up to it, but there wasn't. So they have this big battle for the xel'naga artifact. I think the humans call in a ghost, like the special ops ghost unit, to call in a nuke. Who knows where they got the freaking nuke? Maybe it was on Edmund Duke's ship. I don't know. But they nuke the xel'naga artifact, and then if I can remember correctly, it turns into something like it absorbs all the energy and turns into like a phoenix, or like a phoenix with like tendrils or like octopus tentacles. Something I have no idea. Dude, it was I was like, what is happening? I don't know if we've ever seen anything like that ever in the world of StarCraft. And it absorbs all the Zerg, absorbs most of the Terran and all that, and just flies off into space to do whatever. And I'm like, maybe that'll come back in the book, in another book, but I just couldn't care. So I was like, glad that's over. Yeah, after I was done with that, I was like, that was kind of a disappointing read. And just to show it some love, because I think it does deserve some love and it's a bit underrated, I went back to StarCraft Mengsk and I loved it. Arcturus, that's his name. I just remembered it's Arcturus Mengsk. Going back to this book, it was the second time I read it. The first time I thought it was okay. This time I thought, man, this was really great and just like a bit of a surprise read. I didn't think I was going to read it this year. And while I was reading it, I was like, this is okay, but I don't think it's going to do much. But multiple times I was like, this is a dang good book. I'm really emotionally invested in this. So I would say read, if you're looking for a good StarCraft book, read Mengsk. Don't read The Shadows on Naga. I'm sorry to Gabriel Mesta / Kevin J. Anderson that kind of just ripped this book to shreds, but hey man, no holds barred here. I'm telling you what. So yeah, that is the worst book. Here, one more time. This is the worst book by far I read this year. Like, I've read, not to brag, a little bit of brag, but I've read like 14 books or 15 books this year. I can say definitively this was the worst. Boring, lifeless, soulless, surface level, whatever, right? Like, it just felt very cheap as well. Like, we'll put that down and maybe put it away forever. So there we go. That was the worst book. If you didn't watch my best book, please be sure to go back and check that out. Let me know if there's a great book or a bad book that you read this year. And if you've somehow read this book, let me know what you think. Maybe it's your favorite book and you think I'm completely wrong. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks everyone again for watching. If you haven't done already, please hit that like, share the video, do all that. Enjoy your Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. Have a happy new year. And yeah, tell someone you love them. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.